the reptilians apparently believe that they own the planet. They've got some type of claim that they say they have. They appear to have. Okay, well, it's a strange story, but part of the briefings I've gotten is that the moon was put in place 65 million years ago, and there's some debate as to whether it was then or a lot more recent, but I don't know if they really know. But one of the theories is the moon was put in place to bring about the fall of the dinosaurs, to create seasons. That the moon is a spaceship, that it was flown into position, it orbits the Earth, and in so doing, mammalian life now predominates, whereas before it was reptilian life. And the reptilians had, the dinosaur species apparently did evolve into a hominid race that was intelligent, that got wiped out when this took place, the 65 million year ago incident. And they did get driven underground. So that is a classic element of the story. But then the Draco Alliance, the negative ETs, say that, we persecuted the reptilians, we traumatized them, we drove them underground, and now we have to pay tribute, we have to pay rent to be here. And so the treaty, the negative treaty, is that we're apparently giving them humans as
our meat suits.
Yeah, for whatever they want to use us for, whether they want to dine on us or have us as workers or whatever.
Wow.
We trade a certain number of humans per year. And it's disturbing, and it's the kind of thing that once people get the absolute facts about it and they find out, and nobody's holding your hand anymore, but they're saying, yeah, this is what's really going on. Well, how do you stay safe? If some crazy reptile man could come and grab you, how do you stay safe? Well, again, this is all, we're in a spiritual reality, and the negative side is pushing all this Satanism because it wants us to embrace it. And if enough of us embraced it, then it could become embodied on Earth, but it'll never happen. People do not like this, and they don't. What we're seeing is the exposure of the negative. And this is a very, very fascinating and prolonged thing that's still ongoing, where they've become so blatant that everybody is talking about it. We can't ignore the sense of terror that these events are causing. We're left feeling very vulnerable and very concerned about, is the world going to be safe, or are these people going to win in whatever they're trying to do? And yeah, there is a negative, evil consciousness. These entities from Rigel, these Draco reptilians, they want, on any planet they go to create, pentagrams and ritual magic and sacrifices and all. This is just what they do.
Wow.
It's just their culture.
So is the Illuminati real, and is the Illuminati sort of the indoctrinated, ritualistic group of extensions of that Draco reptilian that are here to take over?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you've ever, I'm not going to get specific, but if somebody, Danica, has ever come up to you and they shake your hand, but there's like something odd about their fingers while they're doing it. It's not quite a normal handshake, but there's something a little odd. They're pushing in I'm not going to be specific, but if you ever have noticed something like that, like, they kind of came in weird, or, why were they pushing over there? Well, it's because handshakes are one of the most common ways in which people can find out if you are involved. So they might do this particular grip, look you very intensely in the eyes and say, "Are you family? Are you family? Are you family?" Look at her. I don't even want to try to out you if that ever happened to you, but the point is it does. And they test for people. But if you don't have the right handshake, or if you don't say, "Yes, I'm family," or whatever it is, then, they know that you're not. And so there's a lot of secrets they use to keep this thing hidden from people. But it's very sad because, they teach that betrayal is the first rule of the order. So even children are being traumatized very severely by their own parents. They're forced to go through MK Ultra, hypnotic programming, torture programming, electroshocks. Basically all of them are going to go through some type of mind programming experiences, and they don't really understand what they're working for. The basis of the negative is deception. And so the negative tells you, if you work with us, we'll give you what you want. But in the process, you've lost your soul. And that's why every type of story that has to do with getting lower astrals to solve your wishes, it always turns out badly. So in my own experience, Danica, I've had multiple invitations to this group. I've had bribes in the billions of dollars offered to me.
I mean, Greer talks about getting bribed for billions too. I've interviewed him a couple of times.
When you go out there and you're involved in this stuff like I am, they really would love to have you on their side. They really would love to have you as a mouthpiece. And so I was told, for example, that I could do everything the way I do it now, and the only thing that I would have to do different in order to get this money is to, quote unquote, speak favorably about Lucifer. And they had this philosophy they wanted people to talk about, which is that, well, Lucifer is a benevolent, misunderstood angel. And God abandoned us up in heaven, but Lucifer stayed down here with us. Look, any God that tells you got to go around hurting people is not a God I want to be involved with.
Right.
This isn't just hurting people. This is like the most insane evil. And so for me to be able to wrap my head around how this type of stuff could be happening in the world, I went back to brain physiology. I looked at the physiology of the psychopath, because I majored in psychology in college, and we found out that some people have this condition in their brain where large parts of the brain don't even operate. There's whole entire regions of the brain that don't function. And this includes most of the whole area of the frontal cortex. It includes the hippocampus. It includes all kinds of stuff. The insula is another one. There's a bunch of them. In my new book, I have 17 regions of the brain I found that all shut down. So it turns out that once you have this type of a brain abnormality, you will typically have narcissism. You will typically have a very expanded sense of yourself. But at your core, you have these maladaptive patterns that make you impossible to have a relationship with. You're competitive. You're, very jealous. They want to control other people, and they build up an elaborate deception. They lie. They create a false reality. They can mimic human emotions very well, but they don't really feel them the same way that we do. And so this is the criminal psychology. It's the psychology of a majority of all the people that are incarcerated. Most of them have psychopathy, statistically speaking. And there are very real brain abnormalities that, make them unable to evaluate the morality of their decisions. And when you're encountering these types of people, it's very disconcerting, because they're so good at telling you exactly what you want and making you feel like you're amazing, at building up your ego.
And you talked about like pain too, and I wonder if part of these brain shutdowns, another weird thing that you see people compile is these images of public figures that all have, a black eye, and it's always the left eye or something. And they all have, like, I saw one recently that they all have sprained, like an ankle boot, like on the same leg. Like, it's like, maybe within these ritualistic practices, they're literally hurting each other. Like, something. I don't know.
Well, you could get beat up too. I mean, people in these groups are not treated very well. Even the Rothschilds supposedly run this, and they get treated like crap by the Draco. My insider Jacob was in the meetings where Draco would meet with the Rothschilds directly, and these aliens do not respect us at all. They look at this as their property. They look at humans as slaves, and they don't care about us. They're not interested in making anybody rich or making anybody happy. And so it's not like if somebody has all this money from being in this group that they have a happy life. Their life is so horrible. When you want to do these awful things, it's because your brain has been damaged. And there are ways in which the brain can heal. I mean, in my book, I talk about like yoga, breath work, meditation, athletic activity, going out in nature. All these things will actually reverse it over time.